Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies, inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
And welcome to the Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw, and I am joined by King Payman himself, Mr. Eric Kniss. You motherfucker, say something!
You'll get it when you get the audio.
It was actually kind of perfect.
You can edit all of this stuff out, but you'll get it. Hi, I'm here. Hail me, because obviously,
really? Whew, boy, you're really pay tribute to someone else's podcast who's way more successful than we are. Whew,
Eric's a pussy, dude. Don't listen to him.
Oh, whatever.
And we are joined by one of Eric's bandmates in Wovoka. He's been on the Kulturecast a couple times. I don't think you've ever been on the Kulturecast, just you, though.
No, this would be the first.
Yes. Mr. Rashid. I don't want to butcher your last name.
Najib.
I was going to say it that way, but I didn't want to say it wrong. So
Rashid Najib.
Rashid Najib.
It just falls out of your mouth.
So we're all here to talk about a movie that has been really hyped. A horror movie that's been really hyped. An indie horror movie that's been really hyped. What a surprise in 2018. It seems like every year we get one. Last year was Get Out. However, that movie stood up to the hype. The year before, I think, was The Witch. And then the year before that was It Follows. And I think the year before that was The Babadook. So this year's indie horror movie that's been unnecessarily hyped is Hereditary. Film is directed and written by Ari Aster. It stars Toni Collette, Alex Wolff, Millie Shapiro, Ann Dowd, and Gabriel Byrne for a minute or two. And the film follows Toni Collette's Annie Graham as she tries to keep her and her family's life together after the passing of her super secretive mother. Just they kept saying that shit, and it really started to bother me.
Come on, Peter. Let's just do it.
It's heartening to see so many strange new faces here today. I know my mom would be very touched and probably a little suspicious. My mother was a very secretive and private woman. It's Grandma. You know you were her favorite, right? Even when you were a little baby, she wouldn't let me feed you because she needed to feed you. She was a very difficult woman, which maybe explains me.
I recognize you from your mother.
What?
Sometimes I swear I can feel them in the room.
Oh my God! What's that?
She isn't gone.
She had private rituals, private friends.
Who's gonna take care of me?
You don't think I'm gonna take care of you?
But when you die,
And she wasn't altogether there. At the end.
I don't like this. Dad, I don't like this.
What's happening? Peter! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother! Wait, Mom, what's happening? Make it stop! Make it stop!
I just don't want to put any more stress on my family.
So we're going to talk spoilers because I don't think there's any way we can't with this film.
Yeah, this movie, you can't talk about this movie without talking about spoilers. I think it is literally futile to attempt to do so. So if you haven't seen this movie, just what the fuck are you doing? Go see it. And then come back and listen to it.
If you haven't seen this movie, which realistically you haven't seen it because this movie made like no money. So
unfortunately,
I saw that coming.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. You and I saw it with the first day it was out, so
because we were super hyped on it.
Yeah,
for months.
I went to the 8 o'clock showing, and you went to the 11. How many people were in your theater?
Maybe 20 to 30.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, mine was actually like probably 3/4 full, like 2/3, 3/4 full.
Oh yeah, not at all for me.
Oh, okay.
My theater had 3 people in it, but then again, I went and saw it on a Monday afternoon. So there was like an old man next to me eating popcorn, and that was it. And he was like,
no.
He was
he
eating
smiling
popcorn.
at you the entire time?
No. He was eating popcorn very loudly. And it was like, and then he was like clearing the kernels out of his teeth. And I was
like, you should have like looked over at him and be like, take your teeth out, you old piece of shit.
I was like, what the fuck? This is a movie theater, not a fucking dining hall, bro. Jesus Christ. But anyways, I'm curious, Rashid, since this is your first time being on the Kulturecast, what did you think of Ari Aster, the director-writer of the film? What did you think of his debut horror film?
So honestly, I thought the movie as a whole was just okay. There were a lot of stuff I didn't like about the movie, but I mean, there was a lot of stuff I loved about the movie. The writing, I loved. The directing, I loved. I think he did a fantastic job. But I think it's more of some of the technical aspects of the film, some of the ways he like decided to move the story didn't work for me. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it was just an all right film, but it doesn't mean that I didn't hate it. You know what I mean?
No, I'm with you. Let's give Eric a chance to fawn over this movie because I want you to recreate, Eric, the phone call that you had with me over the weekend. I still have the message on my phone that you left me where you sounded distraught, to say the least.
Yeah, this movie affected me in a really big way. Like, honestly, I think the last time a movie affected me like this was when I was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old, and I watched The Shining for the first time. So I mean, I knew nothing about this movie going into it. I had seen like the very first trailer that came out, like, I don't know, almost 6 months ago. And that was it. And that was all I cared to know about this movie. And I had just heard the hype coming out of the, Sundance and then South by Southwest, and everybody's like, oh my god, it's the fucking scariest thing since The Exorcist, and I'm just going la 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 la. I don't want to fucking hear anything. Don't fucking tell me anything about this fucking movie. I don't want to fucking know. And so I went into it with actually relatively tempered expectations. Like, I didn't want to be too hyped because I knew that if I was too excited about it, it would just be a letdown, like every other movie that I go into that I'm super stoked about. And this movie definitely challenged and subverted every expectation that I had about it, which was very few to begin with. And it left me just completely, I don't know how to describe it other than hollowed out. Like, I left this movie completely hollowed out. Like, everything that was lovely and wonderful in the universe was ripped away from me for several hours. This movie was very unrelenting. In an amazing way. And I think I agree that this movie has more than a couple of shortcomings, but I think
you won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan. #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Tone and the feeling and the dread that this movie induces, at least to me, more than made up for some of the shortcomings that the film had.
So I was kind of the same way. I totally agree with Eric about the tone of the film. So while I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, this is okay. I hate this part. I hate this part. This is okay. Oh my God, this is fucking crazy. I love it. I love it. I love it. No, I hate it again.
Well, because you texted me after the movie and you were just like, meh, it was all right. 7 out of 10. And then you texted me like an hour later and you were like,
right.
Now I understand what you were talking about.
So when I left the film, I'm like, okay, like I feel kind of fucking weird right now. And then I'm just like on my balcony, I'm smoking a cigarette, drinking like one last beer before I go to bed. And I'm like, no, actually, I feel really fucking weird right now. And I'm just thinking about like all the fucking shit that they did in the movie. And then I'm like, wait, do I actually love this movie? And then I went to bed and woke up and I'm like, no, I still don't. But the tone of the movie, they fucking nailed it. And the feeling you get after watching the film, I think they did the most incredible job. And like Eric said with The Shining, like for me, that movie is Pet Sematary. That fucking killed me when I was a kid. And I haven't felt that way about a movie like after watching it since Hereditary, just kind of the tone of a film.
So, you know, we're talking about these movies that really affected us, and I'm not trying to show how big my nuts are here. I'm really not. But like this movie like didn't I don't know, this movie didn't rattle me as much. Maybe it's because, and I'm not going to blame you, Eric, but maybe it's because you told me how rattled you were that I was like expecting to be rattled when I walked out of it. And so when I walked out of it and it was just, I don't know, it's a well-crafted, highly polished indie horror movie that looks a lot better than it actually operates. And I think that is pretty much I just described The Witch. I just described It Follows. I just described The Babadook. And that's a problem for me.
I mean, you're totally right. It really is like those other 3 fucking movies.
Yeah, it really is. And that's a bad thing for me because
I agree. I agree 100% with you on that.
I felt that The Witch was overly polished. It was a cool concept. It was nice to look at. It was well thought out. The director put in a lot of time, a lot of effort into getting it to be historically accurate. And then the payoff at the end of the movie is so blah. It's so just kind of boring and you kind of see it coming from a mile away. It's not really surprising. This movie, I'll give it credit. The ending of this movie is the most interesting part of the film because for 2 hours and 5 minutes, 2 hours and 2 hours.
Yeah.
This movie is absolutely reserved. I would say it's pretty close to like The Conjuring in the level of like the stuff that it's showing on screen. It's not really, it's not showing anything like that breaks the mold. It's just kind of, it's doing the haunted house, the ghost in a haunted house trope that we've seen in horror movies going all the way back to films made in the 20s and 30s. It's just doing it in a 21st century house with a 21st century cast.
Sure. Honestly, yeah, when I was watching the movie, there was like, I think a solid 10 or 15, maybe even 20 minutes, like in the middle of the movie, after one of like the major fucked up points happens, like within the first third of the movie, that I just went, okay, why did we slow down so hard? Why does this need to be here? Why is this there? And it made sense at the very end. And looking back on it and talking to other people about this movie, I don't think you can have the movie make sense like it does without that like middle 10 to 20 minutes like that feels really slow. I just also don't know how you make it not feel slow.
Well, and I don't have any problem with the film being slow. My problem with the film being slow is that it's just, it's slow for slow's sake, and it doesn't do anything new. It's just doing the same tricks. I mean, that's one of the things I read. It's like the film doesn't use jump scares. The film it's a very highbrow horror. Yeah, but you know what? Just because you don't use jump scares doesn't mean you don't get lumped into now a new category of films that don't use jump scares, that are just highbrow horror. Cough, The Witch, which was... or even a Ty West film. The House of the Devil is... I mean,
love The House of the Devil.
But again,
it's very similar to The House of the Devil.
But this is very similar to The House of the Devil, yeah. So it's first off, fuck you if you don't like jump scares. There's something to be said for a well-crafted jump scare. Over abusing it, yeah, of course. But over abusing any genre trope gets old real fast. Over abusing a ghost in a haunted house trope gets old really fast. Oh, there's something off in the corner that's out of focus. They do that like 4 times in this movie. And then the 4th time I was like, are you fucking serious? God damn it.
I don't know.
Stop.
I felt like this movie earned the scares that it got. And that's like, there's maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 like quote unquote jump scares in this movie. And there's sort of, I don't know, one of them is kind of an anti-jump scare. It's like one of those things where it's like, something happens, but it's not necessarily something horrific that happens. It's just something unexpected. Like when the bird hits the fucking window.
Yeah, but that was in the trailer.
And then there's like a couple of points where like some other things happen, like when the grandmother first shows up in the room. That's not a jump scare in the traditional sense. Like there wasn't like a loud bang noise or like a loud like violin scrape or something like that. But it was, everybody in the theater that I was in fucking lost it when that fucking shit showed up.
Dude, I'll give that to you for sure. Like that part scared the fuck out of me. The part with the naked people in the darkness scared the fuck out of me. And then the most part that I got scared was the fucking mom scurrying on the wall. You know, you just kind of see this white like blanket, in the background, and you're like, okay.
Dude, I thought that was somebody, and then I was like, no, that's not somebody. I was like, that's just like the molding on the ceiling or whatever. That's like not a person. And then in the next shot, you see her scurry across the ceiling, and I went,
like a spider, and it's just like, I mean, I easily get scared. I'll be the first to admit it.
Yeah, you're a
that's
pussy.
Fine. But yeah, like Eric said, it's not traditional in the way of a jump scare, but I still think like those few parts were effective.
But again, it's more a matter of the abuse of it than how they did it. They kept doing those out of focus shots, and they did it so many times where once or twice, cool. But on the 3rd or 4th time, when this movie is supposed to be some sort of highbrow horror film that breaks the mold, and it's the most upsetting, powerful film of the last decade, and it keeps reusing the same thing over and over again. That's the thing. I honestly think people are gonna walk away from this movie being like, man, those last 5-10 minutes were crazy. Everything else, it's okay. But the last 10 minutes of this movie are verifiably absolutely bananas. Fucking batshit crazy. And you know what? That can't sustain. You can't make a whole movie like that. I mean, you can, but it wouldn't be that good. Well,
Well, I don't know. That's the movie I was expecting.
You were expecting batshit from the word go.
Well, the way people are
the
way that people are describing it, I mean, Rashid is completely justified in thinking so.
You guys both know that I am the slow burn aficionado. I love it. The slower the burn, the better. I mean, you know, the way that they build this movie is going to be effective for some people and not effective for other people. Some people are just going to be fucking bored by the time that the crazy shit happens. And then other people, myself in this group, are going to be very invested in what's going on by the time shit hits the fucking fan. And then if you're at that point when shit hits the fan, this...
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Movie is going to be the fucking craziest movie that you've seen maybe in your entire life.
But my problem with the movie wasn't that it was slow. My problem with the movie was it just didn't do anything original. It didn't do anything unique or exciting outside of the last 10 minutes of the movie. And even the last 10 minutes of the movie felt very similar. And I'm having a hard time placing what it is exactly. But I watched something recently. I watched something recently that has this twist at the end where it's like, and now the main character is possessed by the devil or possessed by a demon. And this was their plan all along. And I can't place what movie that is. But again, it's just, this didn't feel as unique and exciting as the critics, in quotations, are making it out to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, critics are just shit anyways, you know?
Yeah. Who cares what critics think?
Speaking from experience, Eric and I are shit.
We are critics, yes, and we are shit. Our opinions mean nothing, just like every other critic's opinion means nothing, because the stuff that I like is not the same stuff that anybody else likes, and that's why all talk
and
about
also
movies.
Art is subjective, but...
Yeah, it highly subjective. Like I said, I was highly affected by this movie and want to go see it again, but I'm also terrified to go see it again. And I'm sure that you guys don't feel the same way that I feel.
Will probably never watch this movie again. Actually, I know that for a fact.
I'm with Rashid. I watched The Witch once. I watched The Babadook once. I watched It Follows once. I have no compunction to watch any of those movies ever again.
The exact same way. I've only seen those movies one time, and I pretty much hated all of them.
Yeah, The Babadook was the only one that I saw one time, and I hated that movie.
I think It Follows was the worst movie I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. But that's a whole other story.
It Follows is a totally different movie. I almost don't even see that movie as a horror movie. It's almost just like a...
Well, I don't know if I see this movie as a horror movie either.
Oh, it totally is.
A lot of this movie is just like... Okay, let me put it this way, Eric. If the last 10 minutes of the movie hadn't happened the way they did, you could have just chalked this movie up as a character losing their mind.
Yeah,
true.
And falling apart psychologically, and it would not have been a horror movie.
That's what they build this movie up to be up until like the last fucking 20 minutes of the movie.
But we're not even talking about the major part that happens almost like 20 minutes in. 30 minutes in,
that totally threw everybody for a loop
with
and literally
the daughter and
made
the son
me sick
and
to my
the car
stomach.
ride and the allergy attack. Like that was something I have never seen in a film before.
Okay, so we haven't really gone over the plot at all in this movie. So just as a real quick run through. You have this family, and it starts with the grandma who has died. The movie starts with an obituary for the grandmother saying that she is survived by her daughter and granddaughter, grandson, blah, 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 blah. So you have this family who is grief-stricken already, but also doesn't quite know how to deal with this grief. The grandmother and the mother, who is Toni Collette, were estranged, and the grandmother was going through dementia and had DID and wasn't all there at the end, and there was a disconnect. The grandmother and the granddaughter, Charlie, who is seemingly on the spectrum in the movie.
I don't know how you couldn't walk away from this movie thinking that her character has some sort of mental retardation.
Yeah, she's yeah.
Well, but again, to be fair, later in the film, it's also explained away that she might not actually be mentally retarded.
That's true.
She might just be, spoilers, possessed by a demon.
But, so you have Charlie, who is grandma's favorite, to the point where grandma actually breastfed Charlie, which they show in one of the miniatures, which I think I speak for everybody when I say that I thought that the miniatures were going to play a bigger role in this movie other than just like a symbolic sort of way for Toni Collette's character to like channel her emotions. Yeah, it works. The symbolism works, but at the same time, the way that the trailers play out and everything, like I think we all thought that they were going to be a bigger deal than they were. The big thing that happens a third of the way through the movie is Charlie is essentially forced by Toni Collette to go to a party with Peter, her brother, played by the guy from Jumanji. And
we should emphasize the character that The Rock is possessed by in Jumanji.
And let me just say, Jumanji was so much better than Hereditary.
Jumanji was so much worse.
I mean, I'll give Rashid credit. Jumanji was better than Hereditary, but that's because I had the lowest of low expectations for Jumanji.
Hey,
there you go. If you had that low of expectations for Hereditary, then we would be singing a different tune. But yeah, anyways, it's established early on in the movie that Charlie has a nut allergy. At this party, she eats chocolate cake with nuts in it. And so while Peter is off getting stoned with his potential love interest and some other, who cares people at this high school party, she starts to have an allergic reaction. She comes into the room and freaks out and says, like, I'm having a hard time breathing. Peter loads her into the back of the car and speeds the fuck off. It's sort of established that these people sort of live in this like remote area. I don't really know where it is. Somebody said Utah that I was talking to.
It was filmed in Utah.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter where they live in the movie. They just, everybody is just kind of like...
They clearly live somewhere that's hard for the main characters to get to.
Right. You live somewhere remote where it takes you at least a solid 10 or 15 minutes to get anywhere to civilization-ish. So he's basically hauling ass down the road in the middle of the night, stoned, while his younger sister is having a full-on allergic reaction in the back. Why nobody had an EpiPen at the entire party, or why he didn't bring one with him, is a mystery.
Or the mom giving one to the son.
But this is a horror movie, and we have to let stupid shit like this go.
This is a movie.
You wouldn't have a horror movie.
Movie, not a horror movie.
And then after you're done talking about the scene, and especially this scene, what happens afterwards, I mean, yeah, it's a great scene, and I really loved it, but then it took me out of the movie. But go ahead, keep going.
Anyways, the big fucked up that happens is that while Peter is driving down the road, there is a carcass, a deer or a dog or whatever, something in the road, and he's hauling ass, and so he swerves to not, run over this, animal carcass, and Charlie has her head out the window because she's trying to breathe and she can't breathe, and they drive really, really close to this telephone pole that's on the side of the road, and Charlie's face collides with this telephone pole at 90 miles an hour, and you can't really tell at the time, but she's decapitated. Peter stops immediately and sort of has this weird mental breakdown, where he's just in shock and is just like, it's okay, you're okay, and just sits there for a second, looks in the rearview mirror one time and sees his sister's like limp body sort of hanging out the window, and then immediately looks forward again, and that's all you see, and he just drives away. He just drives home, gets into bed, and just lays there until morning when you can hear from Peter's perspective, the shot is, this whole sequence is the most like gut-wrenching thing that I've sat through in a long time, because it's like very quiet and very methodical, and it's just Peter gets into his bed and he climbs in and he's just wide-eyed the entire night, and you can see it from Peter's perspective. He can hear his mother getting up and say, "Oh, I'm going to go to the store. I'll be back in 20 minutes. You hear her go outside. The front door closes. The car door opens and closes, and then you just hear her wailing. And you immediately know that she found the body. And then after that, it cuts to Charlie's head in the street, covered in ants, completely just like deformed.
Partially desiccated.
Yeah, partially eaten, partially fucking destroyed by the telephone pole, I'm assuming, when she hit it going 90.
Also her allergy attack.
Oh, yeah. So that scene happens like 30 minutes into the movie, and that's like one of those things where they built up this character so much in the trailer, and then they focus on her really for the beginning of the movie.
Totally, yeah.
Until she dies, and then you're like, what the fuck is even gonna happen now?
How is there still a movie?
And they do, and they bring it back for sure. But I think that like after this whole situation is sort of like when the movie starts to like hit this weird lull in the middle, like for 20 minutes where you're just like,
maybe even an hour, dude.
Nah, I don't think it was that long, because there's the whole
it's a long
like
fucking movie.
Because there's a huge grieving sequence
this
afterwards.
Movie is
like,
a little long, Eric. It's 2 hours.
It is too long.
I heard that they cut an hour out of this movie.
Yeah, there was an original 3-hour cut of this movie.
I would watch that cut.
How I would fucking be so bored.
I would not. And here's the thing, and here's the real issue with this movie, right? The real issue with this movie, for me, is it's a film that you know has a twist at the end because it's clearly building to one. So almost nothing that happens before the twist matters. Aside from one or two really innovative sequences, like her character getting decapitated by the phone pole, like one of the better scenes in the movie, the seance that they have, the film, you know it's building to something. It's going to bring all these disparate parts together at the end of the film, in the last 5 minutes, because that's the way these kinds of movies go, like The Witch. It brings everything together right at the end. And so there were parts of this movie where I was like, all right, I mean, I don't understand or have any fucking clue what's going on. So I'm sure it's going to be explained at the end of the movie. So can we just get to the end of the movie? And that's not a really great way to be watching this film, because the end of this movie, as nuts as it is, as crazy as it is, it also feels like it's from a better, or say better, it feels like it's from a different movie. Similarly to Annihilation, which we watched earlier this year and we fawned all over, the ending of Annihilation feels like a shitty movie. It feels like a shitty horror movie's ending, where it's like, do we know who is who? Is this the real Natalie Portman? Is it not? I'm not even gonna say spoilers because nobody watched that movie, unfortunately. But this movie does that same thing where the ending feels like a different movie altogether. All of a sudden it goes from this kind of reserved horror movie to this like balls to the wall, shit's flying everywhere, character is sawing her fucking head off with a wire.
Oh my God, I loved it.
Completely insane in an awesome way.
Minute of it, yeah.
But at the end of the day, the whole movie isn't like that. And so it's not, those two disparate parts, they fit together, but there are a lot of edges that are sticking out. It doesn't fit together perfectly.
For me, the big problem with it is just that from each scene to scene, like, it was just so disjointed. So now you have the seance. It's the fucking, the friend of the grandma, but you don't know it at the time. And she's like teaching the mom how to communicate with the dead. I'm like, okay, like whatever. And then, then before that, it's a whole scene with the telephone pole. I'm like, okay, this is fucking awesome and brutal. And then like, okay, like, all right, now they're grieving, whatever. It's just, the movie can't figure itself out. And that's my biggest problem with the movie. And then, I loved the last 15 minutes of the movie. Obviously, it's just fucking brutal. It's unrelenting. It's just going to take you over. Maybe a 3-hour cut would make this movie way better. And it would just kind of bridge each scene a little bit more smoothly and kind of connect things.
Well, and here's the thing. Maybe if I go back and rewatch it, I mean, I have no intention of rewatching rewatching it. Not because it upset me or it really shocked me or anything, but because it's a 2-hour long slow burn horror movie, and I know what I'm getting myself into now. Maybe if I go back and rewatch it, knowing that I know where the knowing what the ending is going to be and where the movie is going, maybe I'll appreciate it more and like pick out certain things. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but on the telephone pole where her head got...
I'm just gonna go to this fucking part. Yeah.
There's the little symbol. The symbol is on the telephone
The symbol
pole.
of payment or whatever.
Yeah, when they're driving to the party, you see the symbol on the telephone pole. And so it's like, was she decapitated then by design? Is this on purpose that this is happening? So like, how deep does this, conspiracy against this family go by this satanic cult,
Well, the grandmother offered her family up to bring payment into the world.
Well, because for some reason it has to be by her bloodline. And they even talk about when Toni Collette's in that grief group, she talks about her brother was schizophrenic and thought that the mother was trying to put voices inside of his head, or was trying to put someone inside of him, is what she said. And he hung himself, and her father starved himself to death, which is interesting because when they show in the book, when they're talking about Payman, and they only flash on it for a little bit, and they show like a few lines, and they give you just barely enough time to like read a few snippets of it. It says Payman, this king of hell, one of the kings of hell or whatever, desires a male body, but needs somebody who is, I don't remember how they put it in the movie, but essentially he needs somebody who is emotionally weakened but physically strong enough to take him. And so the whole movie then makes so much more sense under the guise of breaking Peter down.
Breaking the kid down and turning him into a child.
Right, so that essentially he's emotionally weak enough so that Payman can inhabit him. And it also makes sense that the father, her father, Toni Collette's father, would starve himself to death because if he knew that the grandmother was trying to bring this, king of hell into him, if he was weak enough, like physically weak enough, that she couldn't do that. And so they show all of this stuff in there's an insane history of mental illness in her family, like her father was totally crazy, her brother was totally crazy, her mother was totally crazy. How is she not totally crazy? Type of situation. But then if you look at everything through the lens of the last 5 fucking minutes of the movie, everything means something else. And I think that's, I don't know. For me, that's worth another watch. Just
to pick up on those things.
Just because, as I think about it and as I talk about it more, there's more and more things in this movie that connect in ways that when I was watching it, I had no fucking idea what was going on. You don't have any idea what's going on until the last 5 minutes of this movie. And then, honestly, this movie does what I think is an amazing and a terrible job at the same time of treating the audience like they're not an idiot. The whole movie spends almost 2 fucking hours not telling you a goddamn thing and does not treat the audience like a moron until the last 30 seconds of the goddamn running time of the movie, when it literally exposition dumps everything that happened to you and just explains everything and just hands it to you on a platter and says, now does everything make sense, you dumb fucker?
Not only does it
fuck you, I would have known.
Not only does it exposition dump, it does it in the laziest exposition dump way possible, which is exposition dumping with a character speaking possibly in ADR.
Yeah.
Which is if you don't know what ADR is the audio being replaced
after the fact.
After the fact.
And it felt like it could have possibly gone in after the fact. Like maybe they shot it and didn't have that in there, and then that was just the end of the movie. And I think if they would have had the end of the movie instead of exposition dump, they just have at the end of the movie, Peter goes up into the fucking treehouse, and the decapitated grandma and the mom are there, and Charlie's head is on the fucking crazy.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times, Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue, heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface-level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind-the-scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, and let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
Idol thing, and everybody's worshiping it, and fucking Joni takes the crown off of Charlie's decapitated head and puts it on Peter, and they just say Hail Payman, and then that's a fucking end of the movie.
Do we need that to be explained to us?
No. Absolutely not. That fucking was so lame.
And that's the one thing that actually irks me about this movie, like more than anything else. Technical errors and other small nitpicky things here and there. It does such a good job of not treating you like an idiot the entire time until the last fucking 30 seconds. And then I was literally like, oh man, I was like, come on, you didn't need to tell me. I already fucking knew. Like, this isn't one of those movies that like you want to care about everybody coming out of the movie, like understanding what's going on.
I mean, the whole movie, they don't explain shit. You just have to pick up on it. The way Eric picked up on like the book and kind of connecting it with the family and stuff like that.
But that was like me connecting it like 2 days later.
They don't hide it. They don't even like, it's not even obtuse with it. It shows it on screen.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Clear as day. And you know what? And they did something that irks me. They had like the page highlighted where the shit was, it's like, oh my God, why don't you just have a sticky note with an arrow pointing down that says, this is important?
Yeah.
The fucking bookmark.
They had a bookmark in there and you're just like, what?
So
like
stupid.
Grandma, you just left it bookmarked to the page of this last satanic ritual that you did before you died? Like, what the fuck?
It comes back to this idea of these horror movies that are being made that are really kind of like stunning the critics. This is such a stunning film. It's so out there and it's unlike any horror movie I've seen in the last decade. Yeah, well, okay, but this movie is not that creative.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it earlier, man. It is like every year there's the one film, and this film is exactly like those 4 other films,
Yeah. I think it's the best out of all of those other movies.
I think the best out of all those movies is honestly, it's Get Out.
I totally agree.
I think Get Out is a totally different movie, and I think that's like comparing apples to oranges, but I can understand your opinion.
It's an indie horror movie.
Yeah, but it's a totally different type of indie horror movie.
Because it's racially driven?
No,
No, see, Eric loves Hereditary because we both love to hail Satan.
Yeah.
And, that's what we want to do is we want to watch a film that's all about Satan and hell and it being kind of realistic and really fucked up and brutal.
Yeah.
And I get that that's totally Eric's style of film.
Honestly, my like 3 favorite type of horror movies are like satanic cult movies, alien horror movies, and like possession.
Jumanji.
And Jumanji, yeah. And like possession horror movies.
You really like The Kill List.
Kill List is amazing. I love Kill List. But is it a horror movie?
No.
Kind of. It's a horror movie only in feeling, not
It's better
in
than
execution.
this movie, that's for sure.
Well, also, Kill List does not explain shit at all.
Which is great.
Which is great. And I think
that's what this movie should have done.
I think more movies need to take a cue from movies like Kill List and stuff. But movies like Kill List are like, nobody fucking saw Kill List. Like 18 people have ever seen the movie Kill List. And it's only because it was on Netflix.
I think you'd be surprised how many people have seen Kill List.
No, I mean, but Kill List has been out for like, almost 10 years at this point. So like, yeah, a lot of people have seen it. And it's great. And people should see it because Kill List is the shit. But at the same time, Kill List did not get the critical acclaim that this movie did.
And here's the thing.
And I think that's because this movie is more accessible. And whether or not that accessibility was roped in after the fact, especially because that's a problem. There's a problem when you shoot a 3-hour movie and you cut a fucking hour out of it. Like, that's you. And I know this is his first time, and I'm going to give him some serious props, Ari Aster, for shooting a fucking fantastic first movie. Like, holy shit. If this is your first movie, like, honestly, I hope you didn't blow your whole fucking load on this one, because the next movie you make, like, the expectations are going to be very high.
I hate to break it to you, it's probably not going to remotely live up to this.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be extremely detrimental, and I feel already sort of bad that this movie got hyped so much and has gotten so much acclaim so far. He's not going to be looking for work anytime soon. He's set for whatever the fuck he wants to do next. But also at the same time, whatever he does next, he's fucked, because unless it's like the fucking scariest, most amazing thing that we've ever seen, it's never ever going to live up to the hype that this movie got.
Well, and that's the thing, right? So when we look at these writer-directors who wrote these horror movies and then directed them, the people I look at are, you've got obviously Jordan Peele, Get Out. You have the gentleman who directed It Follows, whose name escapes me. You have the guy who directed The Witch, which is not the same guy who directed It Follows, right?
No, The Witch guy is, I think, that was his first film, I think. His first, like, feature.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have someone like John Watts, who, if you know who John Watts is, he wrote and directed Clown, which, for all of its problems, Clown's a pretty fun movie.
I like Clown.
Yeah, Clown's cool. Great. And then he writes and directs Cop Car, which is a pretty cool movie. I enjoyed it a lot. It's a very different movie from Clown. And then what's his third movie? What's his fucking third movie? Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Ari Aster is directing a Marvel movie in 4 years.
Iron Man 8.
Yeah, I don't know. He's doing a fucking, who knows? Yeah, he's doing Bucky, the second Avenger.
I mean, maybe he'll pull a Duplass Brothers and be like, I'm too good to work for Marvel. That's not my thing.
I mean, Duplass Brothers, okay. All right, guys, you know your audience and you know the kind of movies you want to do. Like,
we get it. You're hipsters. You don't admit your friends that you don't like. We get that you don't admit to your friends that you like Marvel movies. We got it. You have beards. We get it. You put oil in them. It's fine.
But honestly, I respect the decision to, like, really work in your wheelhouse, because making those big, huge, like, $150, $200 million movies is a totally different ballgame than making your, $5-10 million indie film that you're used to making, where maybe you have to, like, beg, borrow, and steal and make shit up and sort of, like, work with what you got type of situation. But at the same time, you also have maybe more creative control than you would on a gigantic Marvel movie, and more freedom, as we saw with Solo, a Star Wars story, when you hire the guys from the fucking Lego movie and you say, yeah, make a fucking Han Solo movie, and then they get 80% of the way through it, and then you go, oh fuck, what did we do? We gave them too much freedom, and then they fucking cut them out, and then they bring in Ron fucking Moneybags Howard, and Ron Howard finishes the movie. Now, I'm not saying that Solo's a shit movie, because I actually kind of liked Solo, and I thought it was a totally serviceable and fine Star Wars movie. But
you don't get to make this movie for Disney.
Right. You don't get to make this movie for Disney. You don't get to make this movie for Marvel. Like, I don't see Marvel outside of the Deadpool movies, but even the Deadpool movies at this point are rote and sort of just generic. And
it's rote after one movie, which is so sad.
And so I don't see a rated R Star Wars movie. I don't see a rated R, like truly rated R Marvel movie coming anytime soon. Like, we're not going to see the Punisher like the way that we all want to see the Punisher.
You're not going to see Boba Fett solo movie in the style of John Wick.
Yeah, we're not going to see a John Wick Boba Fett movie, which would be,
or even a Boba Fett solo film, or even a Boba Fett solo film in the vein of Logan, which is why I don't understand why everyone was getting so excited for it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care about this Boba Fett movie because if it's not a rated R, like revenge style, like fucking weird Western bounty hunter like movie, then who cares? Because that's what
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror. We'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
makes that character cool is because he can do all of that stuff and make it awesome.
Dude, they're gonna fuck it up. There's no question.
Yeah, but, you know, whatever. We're going to get a Star Wars movie every year until we die.
Eventually, it's going to be 2 a year.
Yeah.
Eventually, it'll be every other month.
Star Wars needs to figure out that the Marvel template does not work for them.
Or it doesn't even work for Star Wars, which is owned by the company that made the Connected Universe model work so well.
Whatever. Unless Kevin Feige leaves Marvel, the Marvel MCU, and then hops on the Star Wars cinematic universe. He moves from MCU to SWCU. I mean, whatever. But yeah, we're getting off topic. We talk about Marvel movies and this shit every single time we do a podcast. Yeah, you can't.
Let's take a break real quick, and when we get back, we'll finish up talking about the movie we're supposed to be talking about.
Who is Carl Kolchak?
He's a reporter.
Now that is news, Vincenzo. News! And we are a newspaper. We are supposed to print news, not suppress it.
With the INS.
What's an INS?
Independent news service, sir, founded in 1904 by Enrico Paluzzi. Who seems to have a nose for the strange and unusual.
Well, last year in Las Vegas, I uncovered a series of murders that turned out to have been committed by a vampire.
And what is the Kolchak Tapes?
It's a podcast.
All about Carl Kolchak.
What's a Kolchak?
The Night Stalker.
And where can you get it?
On iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at www.kolchaktapes.com.
As foolish a game as any that Gory the Ghoul could make up.
Socks don't have to come in just black and white, and at Jilly's Socks and Such, you can find not only that unique pair of sassy socks, but also gifts for any occasion. Started by former teacher Lori and former student, now namesake Jillian, their store has a pair of socks for every event, personality, and interest. Be it a snarky pair for work, a pair emblazoned with your favorite sports team, or just something silly for lounging, Jilly's Socks and Such can have you sliding into your new favorite pair of socks today. I just recently picked up a pair of Bigfoot socks that are about as badass as they are comfy, and they are a perfect addition to my growing collection of socks. They are located at 3900 Old Cheney Road, Suite 202, Lincoln, Nebraska, and online at jillysocks.com. Mention the Kulturecast and get 15% off your next purchase at Jilly's, and remember, let your socks do the talking at Jilly's Socks and Such.
Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
Week after week, I'm mesmerized by the focus given great films and questionable films alike. But every episode is a learning and entertaining experience.
This is hands down the best movie podcast. They cover so many different genres across so many years, from obscure movies to blockbusters.
If there's only one podcast about movies and cinema that you listen to, make it this one.
The Projection Booth Podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
All right, we are back. We had a very late break, but we're going to finish up talking about Hereditary. So outside of the fact that this movie was overhyped, which it was, I think all three of us can agree on that. Overhyped.
Unfortunately. I mean, and that's like, it's hard to avoid. And I almost feel like maybe I overhyped it for you because I was so crazily affected by this movie and I had to tell somebody and talk to somebody about it like immediately. And you're the obvious choice when it comes to like me seeing movies. They have somebody that I need to talk to it about. So I feel partially responsible that I was part of your overhyping experience. And
I mean, you overhyping it didn't really factor into it. It was, again, that perceived I mean, it did kind of, and I mean, because I trust your opinion more than I trust nameless, faceless movie critic I've never met that I can't actually, like, get to know and kind of know where they're coming from with their opinion. This movie, The Witch, it follows The Babadook. To some extent, It Comes at Night, which is kind of the one that everybody always forgets about.
I love It Comes at Night.
But it got overhyped too.
It Comes at Night was insanely overhyped, and I somehow missed it being hyped at all and was just like stoked to watch it and was very happy with that movie. And anybody who heard anything good about that movie fucking hates it.
But this movie really is just Rosemary's Baby for the 21st century. Almost
and I'm okay with that. If they remake the Rosemary's Baby story once every 50 years, I think that's fine. As long as they don't do it every 5 years, I'm cool with it.
The problem is unless you really don't like Roman Polanski, which, I mean, I completely understand if you don't. You're completely justified in not liking Roman Polanski for multiple reasons, namely one of them being he raped a fucking teenager.
Okay, rapes aside, Rosemary's Baby is a fucking...
And all of Hollywood has decided to defend him.
Well, yeah, but the Hollywood's terrible.
Right. Him raping a teenager aside.
Statutory or not.
Rosemary's Baby is 10 times better.
But also Rosemary's Baby was the first one. So that's like saying Raiders of the Lost Ark is the best Indiana Jones movie when like maybe The Last Crusade is the best Indiana Jones.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the best one.
Don't you say that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the best one. I will fucking kill you.
When everybody knows that Temple of Doom is the best one.
Yeah, dude. Kalima.
Prepare to meet Kali in hell. You know, all that good stuff.
Yeah, but Dr. Jones.
That's my issue. Well, I mean, it's got the most racist characters of all the Indiana Jones films,
arguably.
That's for sure.
Nobody cares if you're being racist to Germans.
Right? The thing I walked away from Hereditary with was just an overwhelming sense of been there, done that before.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Other than like two like key parts, you know, the telephone scene or with the pole and then the wire and she's like cutting off her fucking head. Like, I totally agree.
Yeah. And again, two cool kind of out there moments don't make a great film. Yeah. They don't even make a watchable film.
I think I'm going to agree and disagree with you at the same time about the originality of this movie. That like, yes, maybe the concepts in general of this movie are not original, but I also think that the way that they tell this story is very original. Conceptually wise, sure, it's been done before, but I think it definitely hasn't been done like this.
I don't know, man. It's shot the same way as all the other indie horror films, I feel like. It's got it's like this weird, like, indie horror, like, filter.
It's like the Wes Anderson of horror movies.
There's just, like, this filter in all these movies. Well, it's the thing.
It's like,
you know, like...
They suck all the color
I think it's A24 when they buy a movie, there's just a filter that just goes on it. That's the A24 filter, and that's what happens in post.
Well, I was gonna say, don't get me started, because A24 is...
I want another company to goddamn put out fucking cool movies, because the next time I see a movie that's like an A24 movie, I'm just like, fuck, another fucking A24 horror movie that's like...
You know exactly what you're gonna expect.
You know exactly what you're gonna get. So I want somebody else, like, you know what you're gonna get from Blumhouse, you know what you're gonna get from A24, like, somebody else put out an effective, solid horror movie. It doesn't even need to be the scariest thing since The Exorcist. It just needs to be good.
Do you know what this reminds me of, Eric? This reminds me of The Black Coat's Daughter.
Dude, I hate that fucking movie.
I love that movie.
This reminds me of The Black Coat's Daughter, and you know what? The Black Coat's Daughter is a better movie.
No, actually could be true. Right, and I literally hate the fucking Black Coat's
That's
Daughter.
not true. The Black Coat's Daughter is not better than this movie, but it is very similar.
Yeah, it is.
It's not. No, it is not.
Dude, but between tone, not explaining shit, like, it really is like the Black Coat's Daughter. And then there's, in the Black Coat's Daughter, there's the one scene that's creepy. It's the fucking girl praying to the shadow Satan in the boiler room. And
yeah.
Dude, it's literally, they're all...
And there's a big twist at the end where she's a demon, where she's like possessed by... Okay, and you know what? I'll go one step even further, Eric. You know why the Black Coat's Daughter is a better movie than this movie? Because the Black Coat's Daughter wasn't hyped into the fucking ground.
Except for by...
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster. You know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Eric.
It came completely up. Well, Eric was the one who asked me to watch Black Coat's
Same
Daughter. That's
here.
why we did a
dude,
podcast.
This is the
over
best fucking movie.
Black Coat's Daughter also was like one of those movies that was finished and shown and then didn't come out for like 3 years.
Right.
And
like,
so
dude,
I was
can't wait
waiting
for Black Coat's
for
Daughter.
like 3 years to watch that movie. And then when it finally came out, I was like, oh, thank God I fucking watched it finally.
Let's not forget I believe the first horror movie that A24 put out.
It was Tusk, and that's the fucking best movie. I fucking will defend Tusk until the day I die. Tusk is fantastic, and if you don't like Tusk, then you have a shitty sense of humor, and you should fucking suck a dick.
I don't like Tusk.
If you don't like Tusk, it's probably because you're mentally sane.
If you don't like Tusk, you're probably a normal human being with normal human interactions.
Yeah, Tusk is a really bad movie, but in a really fun way.
Oh yeah.
It's a movie that's great to watch. It's a movie that's great to watch with someone else who doesn't know what it is and watch their reactions.
No, I mean, I went to go see that movie with Cody and Cody's now fiance and some girl that I was taking out at the time. And me and Cody were dying laughing the entire movie. And the 2 girls that we took literally had no idea what was going on and thought we were mentally retarded.
Well, and to be fair, the movie is so stupid that's not surprising.
Also, we might be retarded.
It's stupid in a good way, though. It's not stupid in like it's dumb. It's just a dumb fucking movie. And that's Kevin Smith.
You gotta like that kind of, you gotta be ready for that kind of shit. I don't know. Anyways, A24, make more movies like Tusk, A24. That's what I'm saying.
And stop making movies that have all of the color drained out of them and they're gray and brown.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of weird, right? Like that whole color palette is
every fucking movie now.
Yeah.
Every horror movie.
This movie had some interesting uses of color, like the red like heater lamps in the treehouse and stuff. I thought was super creepy and really effective. There was a lot of blues and sort of like muted colors because a lot of the gnarly shit happens at night.
In the dark.
There's a lot of like moonlight shit. Yeah, there's a lot of moonlight shit that's happening. Like the lights aren't off, but there's lots of windows.
Like I get it. I get what they were trying to do for that, and like have the naked cult people. Like you can see him. Oh no, you can't see him. Oh wait, no, they actually are there. But it just doesn't work, and it just feels so unoriginal. It's like, okay, I get it. I've seen it.
Yeah, but then what? I mean, you're gonna watch a movie like the Neon Demon that was like insane, like 70s level of like super color colorful and insane and beautiful. And that's a beautiful movie. I don't know if either of you guys have ever seen Neon Demon, but Neon Demon is absolutely gorgeous the way that it's shot in these like bright, crazy, vibrant, literally neon colors the entire time. And it's sort of this hyper realistic, sort of like Hollywood, LA, New York, Vegas-ish, nightclub model like atmosphere that's like really put up to like 11. And it's a wonderful movie to look at, but I think substance-wise, like it really also falls short. So, I mean, I don't know. I'll take a movie that's like a little bit normal to look at that actually is effective than a movie that's like really pretty that doesn't fucking do anything for me any day of the week.
No, I mean, I can appreciate that for sure. It's just these A24 horror films kind of all have a very similar look to them.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's the Wes Anderson effect. It's the Wes Anderson horror movies. I'm not joking. Some of the shots, like especially with the miniatures and everything, I was like, this is a fucking full-on Wes Anderson shot right now.
Bill Murray's just a miniature in the
Bill
house.
Murray. If Bill Murray cameoed in this movie, I would fucking lose my mind.
So, Rashid, what would you give the film out of 5?
Or 3?
That's a hard 3.
What about you, Eric?
Out of 5, I'm gonna give this movie like a 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, that's high, but I mean, I gave it a 9 out of 10. And honestly, I think this movie definitely has shortcomings. Whether it's the originality of the idea, or the muted color palette, or the slow 20 minutes in the middle, or the unnecessary exposition dump at the very, very end. I think a lot of that stuff can be forgiven because of the tone and the way that this movie overall affected me.
See, if the movie didn't it did affect me the same way it did you, and if it didn't give that for me, I would literally give this like a 1 out of 5. But because it did, and there were parts that I liked, and there were parts that I really loved, just some of the few scenes and the brutality of everything. Well, that's why I give it the 3.
And those brutal sequences are really few and far between in the movie. Like the movie is really almost like a character study on this family really falling apart the entire time. And if you're not invested in that, then you're not then you're not going to care, and
you're not going to like the movie.
Then you're not going to like the movie. I think.
And I just realized we actually had another horror movie this year that was super hyped up. So you don't even remember A Quiet Place.
Oh, I mean, A Quiet Place was good. Yeah, it was fine. Yeah,
it was okay.
As another first-time director, but that movie is totally different than this movie. That's like a monster movie. That's like
But similarly, it falls apart. Similarly, it starts to fall apart the closer it gets towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, and then it totally does have like a Ash Williams sort of like shotgun like
go get
situation at the very end. But whatever, that happens.
This is my boomstick.
If she would have said groovy, I would have been all about
groovy? It. Oh my god, they made an Evil Dead sequel we just didn't know about it.
Ash is a girl again.
Yeah. I would give this film a 2.5 out of 5. I think it's very derivative in the spots that it shouldn't have been. It's an interesting concept, but the ending being super crazy, and the cool part with one of the characters being decapitated, that's fun, and that's fine, and that's different, but there's so much in between that's just so not interesting and just kind of feels rote, and it's building to something, and then when we finally get the payoff is good, but then the payoff ruins itself. It's almost too much of a good thing. It just ruins itself right at the end. It has a chance to not go full, like, mainstream horror movie where we have to explain everything to you.
I think Rashid has the best idea for the ending. Tell him what you told me the ending should have been.
Oh, so absolutely no narration. They take the crown off of the daughter, they put it onto the son, and they start all chanting Hail Payman, and then credits. And credits are usually 6 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes, and literally no score. It's just chanting Hail Payman for the entire roll of the credits. And could you imagine?
But maybe let it linger on his face.
Yeah, right.
Just a little
it's just
bit.
his face, and maybe the credits going over it. And then imagine walking out of the movie and you're just hearing Hail Payman, and then you get out of the movie and you're out of the door, and because it's really fucking loud, you're still kind of hearing it out of the door in the hallway of the theater. Hail Payman, and then now you're outside outside of the theater, and now it's just in your head. Hail payment would have been fucking amazing.
No, but instead it's let's explain the entire movie to you.
Here's the keys to everything that we just already explained to you right now. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this movie goes 99% of the way treating you like a normal human being and then treats you like an idiot for 1% of the time, and it just almost ruins the entire thing.
But it's the 1% that sticks with you because it's right at the end of the movie.
Which sucks.
What do you think the film has on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, I think it's probably like a 94.
92%. Hereditary uses its classic setup as the framework for a harrowing, uncommonly unsettling horror film whose cold touch lingers long beyond the closing credits. However, the audience score is a 59%.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, yeah. This is going to be a very divisive
It's a critics fucking movie,
It's
dude.
a critics movie.
Love this fuck.
Everybody's already like, Toni Collette for fucking Best Actress. And I'm just like, yeah, all right, that would be great.
No way.
Absolutely
No.
not, dude.
No way.
I thought she was fantastic.
Dude, The Sun could be fucking best.
No, she's
supporting
great, but
actor over that.
No, I
I'm
thought
just kidding. The Sun was the worst actor and took me out of it almost the whole time.
The Sun took me out of it a couple of times.
Mommy.
His crying was the worst. Yes,
But isn't that the point?
I know
like
that's
Eric
the point
said?
of the movie, to break him down, to take him from a like bitchy teenager who's like hard and like, unrelenting and hates his mom and, whatever, is like this stoic teen. And then you break him down to a fucking whimpering child. I understand that is the whole point. But at the same time, there's something about his fucking cry that just irks me really bad.
Literally, the whole theater was just laughing.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like, you can say mommy. I totally
that I get
at that point when she's like upside down on the ceiling, banging her face up against the fucking door to the.
But it's the mixture of the crying and then the mommy thing.
But he cries so early on. Like, he cries so many times during the movie, like, all of a sudden out of nowhere. Like, when they're doing this seance, all of a sudden he starts to whimper like a little bitch. And I'm like, no, that would never happen. I'm like, this doesn't happen in real life. Like, come on.
The Rock doesn't cry like that.
The Rock does not cry.
So one thing that we've been doing recently is reading 2 reviews from 2 separate publications. The more quote unquote veritable ones. So one of the ones that we always read is Mr. Peter Travers over at the Rolling Stones, who says, where the fuck was it? He gave it a fresh review. In its sense of poisoned family bloodlines, of the everyday invaded by unspeakable evil, of bone-chilling terror you won't be able to shake, Hereditary is a new horror landmark. Toni Collette should have Oscar calling. Okay, 3.5 out of 4 stars. The other review worth noting is Matt Zoller Seitz on RogerEbert.com. He took over for writing for Roger Ebert. His review is the shortened review on Rotten Tomatoes is 3 words: creepy beyond belief. He gave the film a perfect 4 out of 4. I don't know if it's perfect.
Yeah, it's a critics movie.
It seems to be getting
totally is.
Yeah, it seems to be getting the critics' attention.
It's a critics movie.
For sure.
The critics are like all about this movie. You know what other movie the critics are all about this week though? Ocean's 8, and that movie looks fucking god awful.
I mean, I've got a movie pass, so
desire.
Why not?
No desire.
Well, let's take one more break, and we'll play a preview for the next Kulturecast.
Yes, I'm Petey Wheatstraw, the devil's son-in-law. Rudy Ray Moore is Petey Wheatstraw, starring Leroy and Skillet, Jimmy Funky Tramp Lynch, and Wild Man Steve. One bite does it.
I have a proposition to offer you, Petey. Are you willing to listen?
But what do you want from me now?
A son.
You got to be sick.
Don't give me that supernatural shit.
That Dolomite Man, Rudy Ray Moore, is back funnier than ever in the new movie, Petey Wheatstraw.
and his luck is bad.
Always like women with big ass. Don't brother me, no business, born back to son of a bitch.
P.D. Wheatstraw. Rated R.
That's right, on the next Kulturecast, we're going to be talking about P.D. Wheatstraw, The Devil's Son-in-Law. Yeah, the title rhymes. It's a blaxploitation film. I've never seen it, but apparently Quentin Tarantino rips off a whole lot of shit from it, which...
Not surprising.
To be honest, Quentin...
Not surprising.
Yeah, not surprising. Quentin Tarantino couldn't go 5 minutes without ripping off something from someone, more than likely a minority or someone who... I mean, a minority, be it Italian, be it blaxploitation, be it samurai films. I mean, he just fuck Quentin Tarantino.
Fucking Quentin Tarantino, dude. He's always, he's trying to get you to, I don't know.
But until then, Eric, what have you been up to?
Not a goddamn thing. Just watching these movies. Been keeping my... I watched that new Halloween trailer, trying to temper my expectations for that, but it looks cool. So we only have like several more months until that comes out. It looks cool. The idea is all right. I'm okay with them skipping over all the shitty in between Halloween movies that nobody gave a shit about.
Halloween 3 was cool though, let's be honest.
Also had nothing to do with Michael Myers, so
but it's still a good movie.
Season of the Witch. What? No, that's the one where there's like the masks and they're like mind control things,
and it turns the kids' heads into worms.
Yeah,
that movie's cool for all the different reasons.
It's definitely a weird fucking movie. Other than that, nothing. Just keeping my ear to the ground for stuff that's coming out at E3. God, some of these fucking video games look like fucking better movies than a lot of the movies that we're fucking getting. So,
ain't that the truth?
Yeah, I don't know. Just that, man. Just getting to it. Going through it.
And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Kulturestash. You can follow Eric on Twitter at Tychomagnetics. Rashid, do you have a Twitter? No. Smart man. Wise man once said, no need to be on social media if you don't have to. You can follow the website on Twitter at Kultureshocked, and in the show notes, you'll find links over to iTunes where you can rate and review the show. You'll find a link to Patreon where you can kick a couple dollars our way, and the Kulturecast is on the Spreaker app. If you want to help us out, download the app, listen there, but we're on all podcatchers, both iTunes and Android, so we've got everything covered. Big thanks to you, Rashid, for joining us to sit and talk. This has been a pretty long podcast, but I think the movie deserved it. It's been pretty
and we
hyped.
didn't even touch on a lot of the shit that happened in this movie. We could talk for a whole nother fucking hour about this movie without even trying.
Yeah, pretty much. As always, big thanks to Eric, Rashid, and Wovoka for the intro music, and to my good buddy Justin Scott for the outro music, and we'll catch you on the next Kulturecast.
Two-step, posted with the crew. You know how we do, I'm just two-step, drink in my right hand, phone in my other hand, getting to the money. Oh man, two-step, posted with the crew. You know how we do.
Hey, two-stepping, know what I'm saying? 1, 2, 1, 2. Benjamin, aka the Black T, you know what I'm saying? Catch me with my crew every day.